Welcome to another weekly energy reading for the collective for this week, the week of February 22nd, 2026. So, as always, I pulled one rune and three tarot cards, one card for the situation, one card for advice, and the last card for outcome. And for the rune of this week, I pulled Rido. And Rido is about the journey. It's about communication and it focuses on union and reunion. But it's interesting because it's not reunion or union with another person necessarily or another thing necessarily. It's about internal union. And the phrase that goes along with Rido is, I will to thy will. So it's above all about healing the inner self. It's about bringing the self into an aligned state of being. It's about relying on feeling and being rather than doing. It's about forgiving oneself for trying too hard in the past and just allowing heaven and earth to unite within you. I will to thy will. It's freedom from the past and from the future. It's aligning the two so that time no longer dictates experience. For honestly, isn't suffering the belief that the past and the future comprise the present, when in fact the only real thing is the present itself? The rest is gone. The past is history. The future isn't even there yet. Or maybe it's all happening all at once. But if that's true, then still the only real thing is the present. So, whatever the case may be, no one knows. Breathe, feel, and let go. Healing is here, joy is in that. So, as I meditate on this rune, I see a bunch of Roman numeral golden clocks swimming in the universe. They're beautiful and they're wondrous and they're like a little bit like Alice in Wonderland's clocks, but they're not relevant. They're just art pieces made once that now hang on the wall. So materially, what does this mean? It may mean that you have to accept something challenging or that you have chosen to accept something challenging, actually. It's not that you're forced to do anything, it's that you choose to accept that thing that has been particularly difficult for you to align with. It might mean letting go of the hope for that thing that you wanted so badly. And it might be just aligning with what is in your life, not what was or what could be. There's peace in that. So embrace it. That's what Rido is asking you to do. For the situation position, I pulled the Six of Wands. And that's an interesting crossover with Rido because the Six of Wands asks for external validation and even says it's coming. Victory is coming. But victory comes that is more aligned with ego inflation than with the generosity of winning, right? So that's what Six of Wands is. It's about the ego within victory. And so this card paired with Rido asks you to curb that egoic need for recognition. You may even deserve it, but rather than calling on others to validate you, find validation within your own heart and really look to why you need it from others in the first place. This is a chance to heal that core wound within you. And with this card, I see a heart beating within the chest, really a very realistic blood red heart beating in the chest, and all the fluid around it is making it strong. And it knows it relies on the rest of the systems of the body to function, but it still pumps on its own. It does its job in spite of the very lack of recognition that it gets from those other systems, just like they don't get recognition from it. They just all do their jobs to make the body run. We know we need our hearts, but we still often feed ourselves with things that don't support it, right? We still don't give the heart the validation it deserves, but it continues to pump until it no longer does. right now it's pumping. So there it is doing its job without getting what it really needs sometimes. And here's our chance to do right by it. Here's our chance to focus on our own place in the universe and to let the knowledge within be enough and not require the systems around us to acknowledge what we've done, but to just know that we've done it and have that be enough. So, materially, you may do something spectacular for someone else this week. You may shovel someone's driveway or buy them milk on the way home, even though it's a real pain to do so. Or you might handle a file that someone else doesn't have the time to handle. Expect nothing in return, is what you're being asked to do. Be jubilant in your generosity alone. You don't need feedback. You just need the energy of the love that you spent for someone else. So in the advice position, I pulled the Seven of Pentacles. And what this asks us to do is to be patient. Don't rush to the next act that will absolve you of the last act. Let the last act mature before moving on to the next. Allow the experience of one thing to fully evolve before moving on to the next. Rest and recalibration is what is called for with this card. And as I meditate on this card, I saw a cat that was ready to pounce on a mouse when right behind it was the result of his last predation. His belly is full, and yet he must eat the next mouse in his sight. And little does he know that that mouse is tarnished and will make him sick. And if he had just waited and digested, he would have avoided that trip to the vet that he's about to make. So, materially, you don't need to do it all this week. You don't need to finish everything. Revel in what you've completed and wait for a very clear signal to move on to the next thing. Much like Rido asks, this card asks you to go within when you're tempted to keep moving. It's a week of hibernation. Value that. It's a gift we don't always get. So the outcome card that I pulled, the card that I pulled for the outcome position is the Ace of Pentacles. And what this card says, it's a beautiful outcome card. It says, if you can manage to hibernate this week, the outcome will be just as you hoped it will be. But don't rush it, because it won't if you do. There is a new opportunity awaiting, a new doorway, and maybe it leads to something completely new, or maybe it leads to a new version of something old. With this week of patience and inward focus, you'll arrive at that thing that brings the satisfaction and peace that you crave. There is great potential within you to create your outer world. Just give it time. Give it the time it needs to fully root. Let that seed fully root before you act. And interestingly, I see an image of Michelangelo touching the hand of God. And he's in rapture, but he waits for God to do God's work. He doesn't try to grasp God's hand. He allows God to be God while he experiences the majesty of God's presence. So, what does this mean materially? There may be a new possibility for a project that has long lain dormant and now will arise in your consciousness and give you the strength and ability to move forward with that project. Perhaps you'll be ready to start that novel or build that basement floor that has been waiting to be done for a long time. Maybe your boss will resign and you will be promoted. But before any of this can happen, it must be allowed to emerge on its own with the seed, right, of the Ace of Pentacles. So let it. An incredible possibility awaits. So that is the outcome for the week. And basically, you're being asked to go within, hibernate, feel, be, breathe, allow, and watch as magic arises in your life. Have a great week.